So
I hear you. I'm going to go over we're going to keep this about 30 minutes. I've got some really good stuff to cover. I've been doing this kind of training for, I don't want to say long time. Anyway, not as long as Richard, but anyway, a long time. I started in 1987 with A.L. Williams and did extremely well because I just found out that I had the ability to do this. I had a sporting goods store, and when some guy came up to me about a year later after I sold him 7 windsurfers, and he goes, Gary, you've sold me 7 windsurfers and I don't even windsurf. You're a pretty good salesman. I said, okay. He goes, so I kind of learned that about myself early on, and I've been taking it to use it for all of us when we've built the A teams with different companies through the years and the concept. So, hey, Bob, I see you're on. Hey, Victor. Hey, buddy.
Hey, now.
We're going to get a few people coming on here, but I got some good stuff to cover. We'll take about 30 minutes and I will record it. And I think you'll like it. A lot of I want to do some Q&A too, because I want to not just go over. I found that a lot of times if God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you talk. But unless in sales and even in this business of getting people to do crypto with us with PGI, a lot of people they're a fire hydrant. They just overwhelm people with too much information, and you don't need to do that. You can just say a few key things and let them talk, and they'll close themselves. I'm going to cover that. So let me go over. Can you guys see the screen? Okay, good.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. All right. Bob, are you back in Gardnerville?
I'm on 50 coming right down into Carson right now.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. I just want to, we've got a couple minutes left. I want to make sure that I record this. How's everybody doing? And that was, for those of you that weren't on the call, but we had, well, I don't see anybody here yet that was on our call just a few minutes ago with RV. We had a leaders call, and it took some doing, but we got him to do about a 45-minute Q&A type thing with us, and it was really fun. I'll kind of cover some of the stuff he talked about with the hedge fund and some different things in a few minutes. I don't want this to go past 30 because I've got 6 webinars, lined up after this. So, hey, there's my buddy Wayne. What's up, Wayne? What's up, Dane? Marsh is here. Angie here. It's a party. The gang's all here.
Gary, did you get a chance to record that with RV?
I think Dane did, and I'm not sure if he wants to pass that on, but I think it would probably be okay. So Dane, you're on.
Yeah, what was the question?
The leadership call with RV just a few minutes ago, if we were able to share that. I thought it was unbelievably good.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So obviously there's a couple things that we are going to keep to ourselves. However, I will say this, that the support is going to be so much better. RV is going to give us, meaning the 9-10 leaders that we have in this group. I guess you'd say support system that is we should have issues knocked out the same day, and so we just ask that everyone just be patient, because he just hired a whole group of support staffers, and we're going to have it's going to be good. So we've got we'll handle support, we'll get that under control, and that's going to make all of our lives a lot better. So I know that we'll talk about this probably on the next team call on the protocol on if you're having an issue with support, you got to kind of go through the proper steps first, and then before you get with one of our leaders for us to escalate it. So we can't take advantage of the situation, but we have we've got a lot more pull, so to speak, than really any other country, right? And that's nice, because he's really taken precedence over the United States, because the United States is his baby, and that's pretty, man. I get chill bumps when I think about it, because we're the pioneers for the United States, and the United States is going to run PGI. The United States is why PGI is going to be big and successful as it is, all because of the United States and us. And I say us meaning our team, not just Gary, me, and the leader. Us, we're family, right? We all work together, and it's just going to be an incredible time. So best times are still way far ahead of us, man. It's going to get even better. So we'll talk about this on the team call, but I was extremely happy and satisfied with the call. And just bear with us. There are some hiccups, but just please bear with us.
Yeah, it was great. All
Hey,
right.
what's up, Gary? How are you?
Look at you. What's going on? How are you?
I'm
All
doing
right.
good.
What I'm
Thank you.
gonna do is, at least initially here, is just mute everybody, and you'll be able to unmute yourself when you have a question or whatever. That way it's kind of a cleaner recording. And let me make sure I'm recording this. I always get in trouble when I don't do this. So it is being recorded. So first of all, what I wanted to do is just kind of go over some basic things we all hear every day about, what do you say when people say this? How do you answer this? How do you answer that? And I do have a lot of experience in sales training and closing and all that. So I wanted to just pass on some things I've learned through the years, and I think it will help everybody. Let me make sure that I mute everybody. Good. There we go. Hey, Matt. I'm glad everybody jumped on. And I wanted to do one of these, I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it'll be like a training. But a lot of times, if you have questions and answers, you do a Q&A thing, you'll find out that somebody else is going to ask the same question that you wanted to ask, but maybe we're afraid to or embarrassed. So I've learned that through the years. So we'll do that. And we have a lot of people on. Welcome everybody for joining. So one of the things that I do, when I'm talking to people, this new stuff we have with the mask and the hat, the jackets and the shirts, it's just an unbelievable prospecting tool. I've been doing this for many years, 20 years, particularly in the insurance building and recruiting sales business, but you can't wear a shirt around the golf course or down at the softball stadium and say, hey, you want to buy some life insurance? It doesn't work like that. So, but we do have this thing with Bitcoin, with the Bitcoin in the news, with things that are going, it broke 50 grand. There's kind of the talk out in the world now is people are paying more attention to Bitcoin. So it's an opportune time for you to get those marketing tools. And I'm going to teach you a few things to say today that I think will really help get these people in the right kind of a system to where they can be educated and help you close them to get them on your team. That's my end result. That's the goal we're trying to do. So what I've done in the past is I always ask people what their why is. When I start talking to a person, yesterday I was having breakfast with a guy, and one of the person that knew me, they came up and they saw the shirt and they said, Gary, what are you doing? How you doing? And I was talking to him. They go, you're still doing the Bitcoin thing? And I go, yeah, kind of retired because of it. And he goes, well, this and that. And I go, I'm really busy right now. And plus I'm at breakfast here with another friend. So I always tap my watch and I put him off to another time, and I kind of take it away from them because I'm not going to answer all their questions, especially in a restaurant. So I said, you have my number? Yeah, I do. Just give me a text later and we'll connect and I'll get back with you. And then I deliberately don't. And the reason for that, I want to see their level of interest. So until they text me 4 or 5 times, and they do because they're really interested in Bitcoin, then I will take their call and I say, I'm sorry. I am so slammed. You have no idea what's going on. Well, tell me what's going on. So I'm going to cover some things about that. But when I first start to talk to them, I ask them what their why is. I mentioned a minute ago that people don't realize, a lot of you that are on the call and a lot of people I talk to, I think I got like 93 directs now in this thing. It's just so easy to recruit people because, it's like $100, right? $119. And it's easy to explain to them how it works. And so what I do is I said, well, why do you want to make more money? And they go, well, duh. I said, no, seriously. And I actually shut up and I wait and let them answer because so many people will fire hydrant them. They'll just like this and that and Bitcoin and this and Elon Musk and 1.2 billion. All of a sudden they just go poof, their head blows up and you lose them. So you got to slow down and you got to just ask questions more. So I say, well, what's the big rush to make some more money? I thought you were doing okay. No, I've been struggling for years. And these are networkers or non-networkers both. And I say, well, tell me, what's going on? And I'll get into them a little bit. Some of you that are on the call that I see jumping on, I've had this conversation with some of you privately. that I've recruited. And I want to get in your heart a little bit and find out what makes you tick. You know, why are you doing this? I mean, just another deal you think is going to last for a while and you're going to make a little bit of coin, you jump out, or what's your real reason? And so people will come up with a whole different side of themselves if you really take an interest in them as a person. You know, if businesses come and go, we'll have a lot of money and all that, but I think the friendships and the fun and the things you can do is a big part of it for me. Those of you that saw my first webinar, I'm all about having some fun. I mean, yeah, let's make money and that's exciting, but let's do something with it. Let's have some fun, right, Wayne? Back there in South Carolina, I see you. So anyway,
Yes, absolutely.
Wayne's with me on that. So anyway, I'll ask them and they'll say, well, I kind of want to, you know, pay for my grandchild's college. And I go, oh, what's that? How much is that? And they go, well, you know what, that's going to be probably 200,000, 300 grand by the time. I said, well, how much do you have to put away to do that? And they go, not much, a couple $100 a month or something. I said, well, where are you going to get the kind of return to give you enough money to do that? And they go, it's not the bank, that's for sure. And I said, well, I mean, is that why you're interested in Bitcoin? And they go, well, yeah. And I said, well, how serious are you about really doing it? Because folks, I don't want to waste my time. I'm so busy. I have so many recruits, so many to deal with, so many people hammering me every which way. I kind of like to filter them out and spend my time with the ones that deserve my time. And I'm not being egotistical about that. It's just a time thing for me. So I'll start asking a lot of questions and they'll get to the point to where another girl that's on the call right now, she wants a new car. And I said, really? What kind? And she said, a Range Rover. And I said, oh, what color? Well, she told me the color. I have it written down right here. So then we get into a conversation about her past and the struggles and the difficulties that we all have in life about, see, if you will talk to people like a friend, they won't leave or quit on a friend. They'll quit on a business person that leads them from deal to deal and doesn't really care about them other than just to get them in another deal. So what I'm saying here is ask people what their why is. Okay. So I think I've kind of covered that. Another thing I do is I talk about this. Well, Bitcoin's risky. And I said, yeah, it is. And a lot of times I'll ask them a lot of questions. And if I get to the point to where I don't think it's for them, I'm going to tell you what I tell them. I tried to cover a little bit last night, but we got rushed out of time. So I say, you know, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. Here's one thing I know. I don't know a lot for sure, but I know a few things for sure. If you don't do something different, nothing's going to change. If you don't do something different, a little more aggressive, call it risky, whatever, you know, come out of the box, do something, you're not going to make it. I did financial consulting for people with the insurance business as a financial planner for 20 years. And I go back to these clients and I do an annual review even after all these years, because why? What was my first part? I'm friends with them. They actually know my family and and all that. So I go see them and I say, well, has anything changed? Let's start talking about this. And I'll review their portfolio. They got some variable universal life over here. I sold them. They got a couple of annuities over here, maybe some mutual funds. And I'll say, gosh, we've averaged about, 8.1%. And that's actually pretty good over the period of time that we've been with them. And I say, that's the good news, is we really are ahead. But the bad news is you're not going to make it. They go, what did you just say? I said, you're not going to have enough money. I'm sorry, Social Security included. There's just not enough dollars here. And these people have 500,000 up to $2.5 million. And I say, because after taxes and inflation, you don't have any more money left. So what do you think we should do? And I shut up and I listen, right? And they go, well, Gary, you've done, well for us so far. What do you think we should do? I said, well, what I think you should do is take a small part of your portfolio, maybe 5 or 10%, and put it into something that's gone up 50,000% in the last 10 years. And they go, where's the paperwork? I go, don't you even want to know what it is? And they go, no, because we have to do something. We have no fighting chance to make the kind of returns we need to get anywhere if we don't do something different. So then I'll tell them it's Bitcoin. Some know about it, some don't. And so I'll take, sometimes it's 50, 100 grand, 10% of their portfolio, and I'll put it into a Bitcoin program for them. So back to the slide, the biggest risk is not taking a risk. People just don't understand that if they don't do something, they're not going to make it. And you have to tell them, because they get back, to life and they kind of want to forget about it. And they'll, maybe they'll do something to make themselves feel better. They'll have a few drinks or whatever. But you got to remind people of where they're at and shock them. You get their attention. so far so good. So let's cover this. Let me make sure I can change these slides this way. So I think that's a big one. So another thing I've been hearing a lot of, people will do, they want to do 3 ways with me. I think that's the biggest thing you could do. Write this one down. Call it master the matchup. And I mean, is you don't have all the answers, and there are people in the industry and with this company that have been around longer, and they might know more than you do. So you should use them. Okay. And what I'm talking about is a 3-way call. There's a proper way to do a call. You know, if a person calls, say Bob, for example, calls me up and he says, I have this person that wants to talk to you. And I go, well, what about? Snowmobiling or well, I mean, what? They go, no, Bitcoin and then PGI. And I go, well, have they watched the webinar? No. Let me get this right. You want me to give them an entire presentation, like 2 hours out of my day, and I have a recorded webinar they could just watch? So now I'm kind of getting into it a little bit with my recruit, with the person wants me to do the 3-way, and they'll go, I never thought of that. And I said, well, that's why I'm here, to tell you about these things. This is how you do this. You send them to the webinar and you have them write down any questions they have. If they're not interested enough to watch the full webinar, I'm not interested enough to talk to them. And they go, oh, okay. Well, I'll make sure they watch the webinar. Then I can fine tune and answer any specific questions that they have. So that's the first thing I do. And then when I do the 3-way and it gets to the point to where they call me, I'll immediately do 3 things. One is I'll edify the person that connected us. I'll say, you know, so you should be so happy you're working with Bob. Bob's fantastic. He's got a great situation going here. I've never met a guy. He's just a wonderful guy. He's a great leader. He follows up with everybody. He's there to help you 24. And I'll make that guy, for a lot of reasons, I'll be doing this, but I'll make him look like a hero to this new recruit, and that they're happy that they're working with them. And then I'll say something very interesting. I'll also make Bob feel very special by doing that. And now I'm doing something that Bob never gets anymore. People don't hear good stuff about them anymore, folks. They get home from work and their boss is yelling at them all day. They get home and their wife or their husband's yelling at them all night, right? They're worried about money. They're worried about the COVID stuff. They're worried about Biden getting into office. Sorry, I wasn't going to bring politics into this. I take that back. Okay. They're worried about stuff that's happening in their life and they're not really happy. Okay. So you got to be a shining light and let people know that there's somebody that can, you know, change their mood and be nice to them and make them feel special and find something good in them. Sometimes I have to look pretty hard to find some good in some people, but I always do. So I'll pump that person up and then I'll do the 3-way call. And then 100% of the time so far, I close them. Now, some of the times, back to this slide now, I'll get into it with them and they watch the presentation. But folks, let's face it, there's a lot of scams. So all of us have been in them. Thank God I've never lost any money in any of them, because I could ask 6 or 8 of you, what's Gary's #1 rule? And they could verbatim say, take your principal out early and play on house money, right? Well, I've always done that. I actually do that, folks. I don't just preach it. So I've never lost money in any program, but most people, 99% of the time, 98% of the time, greed will kick in and they will come up with something like, well, I'm not going to take any out. I want to let it grow. I've got a spreadsheet on my refrigerator, Gary. You should see it. And in 27 and a half months, I'm going to buy a yacht, a car, an island, and a Ferrari, and a new home. And I go, you're retarded. You're stupid. They go, excuse me? I said, are you an idiot? No wonder you've never made it in any of these things. You don't know how to save any money. And yes, I do. I say that. I get right in their face because somebody needs to tell them what's going on. So I'll get in their face and I'll tell them, I say, you need to do what I told you to do. Take your principal out early and play on house money so you feel better about yourself. Now, those of us that have been in deals that didn't make it, almost everybody out there, it happens different to different people. Sometimes people will take that like, well, it's just another deal. I'm going to let it roll off my back. Or some people it devastates. I know people that were in a company years ago, started with a Z, okay, that actually two people killed themselves. That's how much it devastates some people and their families when they get in one of these things and they don't do it right, and it just completely destroys their life. So you got to remember that the people you're talking to, they're not as seasoned as you, and they need some help getting past these obvious objections. So I use, you might write this one down. I'll have a slide on this. I don't want to take the time to find it, but it's called the baseball analogy. So here's the people that have really been screwed in past deals and scams and so forth. So here's what I'll tell them. I said, you ever play baseball? And they go, yeah, I actually played baseball in Little League. And I said, well, you know how when you first play baseball, you're in Little League, and first you're in that, what is it? I was a coach of that thing where you T-ball, or the thing you hit it off the stationary T-ball. Is that it? And so you go through and you get to the Little League, and then you go up to maybe college, and then you get to a farm. If you're really good, you make it all the way to the big leagues. Well, a lot of us are on this call right now. We're in the big leagues of network marketing and crypto deals. We're pros. Okay. And so what I tell them, I say, you know, those people that go through that whole analogy of getting to that point to where they're up there as a pro ball player, when they're standing in that batter's box, folks, they can tell you if that's a curveball coming at them, if it's going to be low and outside, if they should maybe swing at it, it's going to be a fastball. They've seen so many pitches come at them, right? Pitches come at them, sound familiar? That they kind of know what to look for. So in our industry, we have a lot of pitches that come at us all the time, right? Well, we know kind of what to ask. That's why when I went to CRV, I knew what questions to ask. Here's, you know, people have actually offered to pay me money to check a company out for them. They said, Gary, you know what to say and what to ask and all that. I'll give you. I said, no, you don't need to pay me, but you need to ask basic things. I have 6 things I ask. You know, where's the home office? What's the name of the owner? I have a few things that I ask. And so my point is, when you get to people that you're talking and they're really skeptical, you have to understand where they're coming from. You have to say, you know, I use the 3 F's, I call it: feel, felt, and found. I understand how you feel. I felt the same way until I found out blah, 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 the answer. So that is a good way, the feel, felt, found, to get into the objection of, you know, I've been, you know, they're just so negative that they've been screwed so many times, and their wife's about to leave them. They've lost their credit. Their car is repossessed. I've heard it all. And it's all because they haven't had the right coach to help them to do things the right way. So I try to help them and bond with them. Okay. So now what I'll do, if you go to the slide, and I'll say, listen, you know, you have this is a real completely off the deep end negative person. I mean, they can't find anything good about PGI, right? I mean, they deliberately look for bad stuff. You know the type, right? We've all had them. And I say, you know, I don't say this really often, but in your case, I'm going to make an exception. You probably shouldn't do this. Well, what do you mean? I said, well, you know, you have a lot of questions. You're very negative. You told me what happened with these other companies, and I get it. You know, we need people, you know, if this was supposed to be for everybody, the opportunity wouldn't be there. You know, we all have to understand that everything's not for everybody. We need people to deliver bread trucks, you know, bread truck drivers. We need people that work at the sanitation department. We need people that work as clerical people in offices, and everybody's not supposed to make 1% a day. So in your case, after all I've heard speaking with you, you probably should pass and just, you know, go about and go down to your corner bank where you can see the building on the corner and let them pay you 1% too, except it's a year, not a day. And then I just shut up. You know what happens? 100% of the time, I get a reaction. Well, I'm not gonna see. That's the takeaway, right, folks? Because you don't need them. You don't need everybody. I certainly don't need everybody either. And I want a person that's going to be tough and be with me and, you know, ride this thing out and make a lot of money. So you can't really tell until you ask a lot of questions. 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you talk. So I tell them, I say, you know, Bill, you have a lot of questions and you're very skeptical. And I get it. I heard your story because I've asked questions about, tell me how you got screwed in the past. Tell me what company screwed you. What happened? I mean, sometimes I ask them, I mean, didn't you take all your principal out early and play on house money? I mean, didn't your sponsor teach you that? That's like rule number 1 for us veterans. And they go, no, he told me to hawk my diamond ring, take a car second loan. What do you call that? A title loan on my car. I go, what? You're going to be kidding me. So I've heard it all. And you just have to coach them. You have to be a friend and a coach. Okay. So I tell them you probably shouldn't do it. And 100% of the time they put 3 or 4 times more in than they were going to. Because I get the point across really clear that I don't need them, and they probably shouldn't do it because they're the kind of people that'll do $100 pack. They'll wear you out with everything that goes wrong. Every time there's not how much you made on your pack that shows up one day, my phone will blow up. I just don't want to deal with them. And I tell them all this. So all of a sudden I've got a great recruit and a person that really helps. So don't think you need everybody. Start getting to the point to where you turn people away and say, you probably just, gosh, I'm really sorry that all this we went through, but I admire you for trying to hang in there and do something. But remember the baseball analogy. I say, folks, if you don't, I know you've been in the business and you get pitched every day with these deals, but folks, if you're not back in the batter's box, standing there with the bat, you're not going to hit a single. So why don't you get in and just do $100 pack and see if it works? So I hope those kind of things that I use help you, because if you use them, you'll be stunned at how they work. You got to ask a lot of questions. Okay. And I kind of say this too, I want to make sure I don't go over too much. The financial system in the US is set up so everyone isn't supposed to make it. You guys know that, right? Everybody's not supposed to make this kind of money. Hello, partners. We're it. We're the ones that are risk takers, no risk, no reward, within reason. A lot of these companies, I've never lost money in all these companies that have even went under because I'm smart about how I do it. So if you'll teach that and do that, some of you need to do that yourself. I think it'll help you a lot. So I tell them, we're not, in our country especially, we're not supposed to make this everybody's not supposed to do this kind of stuff. It screw everything up. Everybody with me? Okay. So I keep referring back to the bank on the corner where they're comfortable. You see the bank, it's FDIC for up to $250. You can walk up there with your ATM and man, that's just where you need to stay, because you're going to go through life. You're going to get a high school diploma. You might go to college. You're going to marry this kind of person. You're drive this kind of car, eat this kind of food, travel this kind of places, and then you're going to die. And if that's what you want to be comfortable in your life, that I just encourage you to do that. We'll still be friends, man. But in the meantime, I'm going to be in London or in the Bahamas, or I'm going to be doing something that's really fun. And if you take a chance with me, I'll take you with me. So those are some of the things that I say. And a lot of you that know me, I've said it because I've said it to you. Okay. So let's go to this next slide and I think this will really help too. This one, once they're to the point to where they say, well, how much do people put in these things? And I said, well, it really depends on you. This is called a triplicate of choice close. And what this is this is just an example of the people that I deal with. I live in Northern Nevada, 7 hours up from Las Vegas by Lake Tahoe. And I'm in a pretty, I live on a golf course. I hang out with people that have a little bit of money. So these numbers might be a little high for where you're at, but just adjust them. But I say, a lot of people put in about $500 a month is the average. And then you can have that packet grow at 1% a day. And when there's enough to buy another packet, I'll kind of strategize with them. But we have those that'll do 2,500 or 200. So I'll say it like this. I'll say most people do about 500 a month. Now, most people want to be like most people. So there's a lot of logic behind these three things that I'm using here. We have those fortunate few that can do up to 2,500 a month. You mean, Gary, wait a minute, Gary, you mean you don't just tell them to buy a packet, you tell them to do a packet like every month? I said, 100%, absolutely. I want them to dollar cost average into this deal with the price of Bitcoin going up and down. I want them to do a lot of packages, okay? Because when there's a psychological effect when you open your website and you scroll down, you see all those packages earning all that money, right? Psychological factor. And then we have those on somewhat of a fixed budget, number 3, that can only start with about 200 a month. Where do you guys see yourselves to start? Or Bill, where do you see, or Mary, whatever? And they go, well, they want to be like everybody else. And then all of a sudden they go, well, I have an IRA. I don't have a lot of money, but I have a lot of money in a 401k. Did you guys on this call right now know? I've done self-directed IRAs for people for 13 years now. I can actually get, I have a program that I work with a couple companies that we can self-direct their money and get it out of their 401k and put it in Bitcoin and put it into a program like this. And it's still tax qualified. Did you know that? It's called a self-directed IRA. So if you want information on that, I got a little video that was done years ago. But if you talk to people, say, well, what about IRA money? Like those couples I go see that I do that annual review, all that money's qualified. They're in 401ks, 403bs if they're teachers, whatever. And so I can structure that to where they're now in PGI, but it's still their IRA. How about that? So that's where a lot of my money's coming from, by the way. So then I'll run it out, and people kind of want to be normal, but a lot of times if a guy's with his wife and he'll want to kind of be a, whatever you want to call it, macho, he'll say, well, we can do more. And so a lot of times they have some money in their safe, or I say, well, just, they'll come up with money now. They'll start finding ways to get more money because I set it up the correct way. And then I'll calculate that out. Now the spreadsheet, I don't know if you put that in the Telegram room yet, Dane, but that spreadsheet shows multiple deposits and what they will grow to over time. If you haven't figured it out, those of you that weren't on the call with RV, some of you that were on the call just a few minutes ago, you're starting to see a little bit about RV, what I saw 3 months ago. This is the real deal, folks. This is going to last a long time, and you're going to make a fortune. Now, you can't make as big of a fortune. You have to have one of three things. You have to have a lot of money to put in yourself. You have to have a lot of recruits, or you have to have a lot of time. Okay, so I'm trying to teach you how to build a team. This is the stuff that I do because I figured out a long time ago I can compound my efforts by teaching people a few things. And look at the team we have here with PGI already. It's just insane. So with the hiccups, so that's what I'll do is I'll calculate that out, and I'll kind of kick into their little I don't know if you want to call it the greed in a good way type thing. So let's go to this. Here's what I say for the shirts. The mask is just in Nevada now, today they lifted the restrictions. The governor said, as long as we're going to leave it up to the counties. So there's no more restrictions. It's like Montana that I was just up at. The governor said, no more masks. We're mask free, but we're going to leave it up to each county to decide whether they want to do it or not. So in my part of Nevada up north, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. I'm going to still wear it. You know why? It's because I can recruit like a madman with it. You know what it says, right? You guys have seen it. It says, I make money with Bitcoin, ask me how, right? You'd be stunned at how many people will ask you about Bitcoin if you wear that. Then I have the shirt. There's a nice golf shirt, and then there's like a pullover sweatshirt type thing. Folks, if you ever wanted an recruiting opportunity, get some of this stuff and start wearing it. But then you're gonna need to know what to say, right? Because a lot of people will buy it and then they go, oh, yeah, I forgot what am I going to say to these people if they ask me? I don't know what to send them or what to tell them or whatever. So here's what this is for as we kind of end up here. Yeah, we got a few more minutes. They say, how do you make money with Bitcoin? I was just up in Montana, and I had the mask on, and I went into, because I'm buying another one of these side-by-sides. It's called I don't know if you guys are into this stuff. It's, what a Polaris Ranger is, or a Can-Am Defender. They're these side-by-sides that you go out in the woods with hunting and just having a good time. So I walked in there because there's no sales tax in Montana, right? Got another place up there. So I buy all my stuff there, and I avoid the sales tax legally. Then I write it off with my company. That's a whole other webinar. And we'll teach you guys that sometime. But what I say is, they say, what time, how do you make money with Bitcoin? I said, well, why do you want to do that? Remember, right back to the same old thing. Instead of going, blah, 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 PGI, blah, just throwing up on them, they'll back off. I said, well, I start asking them questions. Well, why do you want to make money with Bitcoin? I'll actually shut up and let them answer, and which most of you won't do. And almost nobody out there will do that. So you have to listen more than you talk. Anyway, so I say, well, what kind of returns are you getting now? Why do you want to make more? Now here I'm back to the same old thing. So I said, well, what if I could show you how to realize a 15% per month rate of return on your money? Would you want to learn more and get started? And they go, well, absolutely. Now, why did I say 15, Gary? We're paying 30. We're paying 30 to 35 with PGI packages because I want to under promise and over deliver. When I show them that spreadsheet, when I show them this, I think I have this pretty wound up here. When I show them one of these, this is just a 50,000 package. They go, you're making this a day? I go, well, yeah. Now, I know you think that's crazy, but you're not from my world. You're not in the crypto world, and I am. I'm an expert at it. Now, what'd you do for a living? And they said, well, I drive, I drive a bread truck, whatever. I said, well, you're an expert at bread trucks. And if I wanted to know about those, I'd surely ask you. But now you're talking about my world, and I know this stuff inside out. So 1% a day is completely realistic and sustainable if you know what you're doing. And then I'll shut up. They're all over and they just will not leave me alone. My phone has been buzzing since we started the webinar. From why? The 6 people I talked to because I wore the mask yesterday. So I'll talk to them about that. Go back to this and I'll say, so when I show them it's 1% a day or 30% a month, not 15, guess what they do? See, I don't want to hype it. I want to educate them and teach them and get them really excited, legitimately excited, because then I've got a recruit and a friend for life. Okay. So if I could show you how to do that, how much would you want to learn more and how much would you want to get started with? See, I'm already closing them on, they're going to put some money in here. They're going to get some Bitcoin from me probably, and they're going to do this. So if you liked what you saw, how much would you be starting with? If you liked what you saw, how much would you be starting with? And then I can do some projections for you. So here's the last thing. When you get an objection, this is a good one to write down. I have this all on slides. I can do this maybe next week, but just write this down. When a person has an objection, like, I'm not sure I want to do it. A lot of people go, okay, whatever. I want to know why. So see, I want to think about it as a mystic void floating around in the universe. You have no clue what the real reason is. None. Unless you would do what? 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? You have to ask. So I say, well, why don't you want to get started with PGI? And they go, well, I'm not sure this RV guy is a real guy. Okay. Anything else? And I'm quiet. And they go, well, geez, let me think about it. I don't have any Bitcoin. I go, okay, what else? That's about it, Gary. I said, so let me get this right. What's keeping you from going forward? Now I'm speeding it back to them. What's keeping you from going forward, Bill, is that you're not sure RV's a real guy and that you don't know how to get Bitcoin. Is that what I heard you just say? I go, yeah. I go, is there anything else that's keeping you from going forward? In other words, Bill, if I could answer those and you were really happy with the answers, would you go ahead and start today? And they'll wait for a minute and they'll go, well, there's one other thing. I read this deal on the internet about crypto scams. Okay. Anything else? They go, no, that's it. So now I'll get a pen out and I'll write down those 3 things. Now I know what the objection really is. Now, Bill, if I can overcome those and I can make you happy with the answers on all 3 of them, how much are we starting with today? Only if I can. In other words, I'm going to answer these questions and prove them to you and give you the answers and show you what you need to see. And if I can do that to where you're totally happy with all 3 answers, are we going to start and we're going to go into business together today? And you know what they say every time? Absolutely. See, now I know what their problem is. Now they're not going to come up with 15 more because I just locked them down on those 3. So now I'll go through. I said, I'll take them to Vegas, introduce them to RV myself, if it's a big enough deal, right? And then, I know how to answer all the questions. I can do all that. So can you. But unless you know what they are, unless you lock them into you close them on isolate the objection and close the deal. In other words, people just sometimes, you know what they say to me? They go, because I'm making them answer me. What is the problem? And they go, I'm just scared. I'm scared to take a risk. Okay. Anything else at all? Nope. That's it. I write it down, and if I can make you more comfortable, I'll use that baseball thing. We're in the batting cage, or on the big leagues, and we've had all these pitches come at us. But if you're not in there with the bat ready, you're not even going to hit a single. I'll show them this one. I'll show them that. I know how to overcome the objections if I know what the hell they are. So a lot of problems that people have, and a lot of people on your team that you're starting with, they don't know any of this stuff that I just taught you today. They don't have any idea. They're just like, I'm excited and it really seems cool and I want to make some money, and who knows what'll happen, right? They're just jacked up. So this will give them confidence to stay the course to when, if they end up, having some objection come up, or their best friend comes up and say, oh, that Bitcoin's an internet scam money. It's, this drug dealers are using it. And then they're going to be prepared to fight that objection off because they got me and they've got some knowledge. So let's take 5 minutes and maybe answer any specific questions. I didn't want it to go much longer than this, but I hoped all this helps. I got a lot more stuff. We'll just do a little bit each week. So you can unmute yourself, and if you have any comments or any questions about any of this that I covered, let's handle them. Let's talk about it. So anybody at all? Gosh, look at all the people we have on here. Go ahead.
Hey, oh, I'm sorry. Is somebody else gonna talk?
I think you're good, Matt.
Oh, okay. Man, this is so good, Gary. Thank you so much for doing this. And are we gonna be able to use this recording? Because I want to train my team with it.
Absolutely. I'm recording it. I'll put it in the Telegram room within 10 minutes of us. Now I've got another thing I'm going to be late for. Give me till this evening and I'll put it in there.
You got it, brother. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Okay.
it. Okay,
You're welcome. Thanks.
Hey, Gary, this is Suresh, man. It's a phenomenal stuff, brother. I mean,
Suresh, my man, when are we going to eat some Filipino food or whatever you said on that call?
Indian food, man. I'm a good cook, and we're gonna eat great, and we're gonna travel the world together, brother.
That's right. That's right.
Let's do some good stuff. I remember when I was in Amway, I got trained by Bill Britt and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
This is exactly what we've been trained on. And
let me say something. I don't mean to interrupt, but let me tell everybody something right now. Folks, it's never going to change. Every time I try to get creative with all this stuff and marketing and funnel systems, I get killed. Every time I go back to basics of what I learned back in A.L. Williams, I'm the number one guy in the company every time. So if you'll go back and study things, these are the kind of things that your new people need to hear, folks, to keep them with you and build a long-term relationship. Go ahead, Suresh.
Yeah. It just kind of retaught me what I've learned in the past. It just gives you composure, the takeaway, because like you were saying, you don't want to come at them and just give them all. You just want to be a good listener. And I just needed to hear this again. And
Good.
This is awesome stuff, bro. Thank you so
Good.
much.
You got to drip them. Don't fire hydrant them. Right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's like Sinaloa, safety in numbers and law of averages,
Yep.
and then they also use SW. Some will, some won't.
So what?
So what? Stop whining. Stop winning.
That's
right. Right. I mean,
yep. We've heard that before, haven't we? Those are those veterans like me.
Some won't. Some won't. Some won't. Some will. Stop whining and start winning. And that's what we need to do. But thank you so much for bringing this up again. I'm really excited. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Any other questions or specifics on, so a person said this, I could say this or whatever, or anything I can help you with at all? And if not, we'll wrap it up, and I'll put this recording in the Zoom for us, or in the Telegram room. Anybody else? Comments, concerns?
Gary?
Yeah.
Gary, can you hear me?
I can. Is this John?
Yeah, Jack Nazen.
Hey, how you doing?
You've helped me before, and I know that you don't need to do this anymore, but I really want to let you know how much I appreciate what you're doing for us.
You got it. I love doing it. I love having other people be successful, because one of the things I've used for years is I get tired of paying for everybody's way. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I've gone houseboating with my kids for 15 years, and I have all these friends that I rode motorcycles with, and I did all these fun things, but they just don't have any money. And I would pay their way. And then I'd end up saying, just because they're fun and I could afford to do it. I'm kind of like RV, and he just throws money everywhere. I mean, when I have a lot of money, I want to have some fun, man. Let's just do this. Don't worry about reading the menu from the right to the left. Let's just go buy whatever you want to buy and have some fun. So anyway, my point with that is that, I tell people, I say, I'm tired of this, man. You're always saying you can't go and you can't do this. You can't get off work. You're broke. Why don't you come to work with me so we can have some fun? And I'll show you how to make this kind of money. I say things like that all the time. I do. I really do. Anybody else?
Just thank you so much, Gary. Really appreciate you're a pro's pro, man. And I really appreciate your contributions. So thanks you very
brother.
much.
Good to connect with you again. It's been a few years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Who's that? Angie?
It's Marcia.
Marcia. Hey, how's Canada? Cold?
Cold. So one thing that I've come across a fair bit is, of course, everybody looks up RV's history. Mm-hmm. And, then there's, some wild stories out there. Mm-hmm. And also Mark Davis. And what do you tackle that? Or do you just kind of?
Let me throw this at everybody. Based on what you just heard, what do you think I would say to that to Marcia when I'm talking to a person that brings that up? See who listened.
Is there anything else?
So you say okay. What else?
Now you're getting it. Everybody's listening. I would literally say, I said, well, specifically, you're talking about, Mark Davis, you saw something on the internet or something, and same thing with RV.
Yeah.
Yep. I say,
Is that it?
That's what's keeping you from going forward. How much were you thinking about putting in if you're really happy with the answers I could provide for those two things? See, I want to get some money from them. I want to get them in. They go, well, if I had those answered and I was comfortable with it, I'd put 10 grand. And I go, let me write that down. 10,000. If I can answer those two, Mark Davis. And I'll say, so is there anything else at all? Anything at all? Let's take a minute and think about it. And they'll go, no, I've looked at everything and that's really what that's it. If I could, would you? So I have some specifics, Marcia. For time's sake, I can actually send you about those two specific things that I haven't had the thing with RV come up, but I have with Mark Davis. That was an easy one, but really good question. So you see everybody, you see it just natural. It just starts flowing. People have you an objection. Sometimes I laugh. They give me an objection. I go, you're kidding. That's all you got? That's the only objection you can come up with to not do this? And they what are you laughing at me for? And I go, that's so easy. It's stupid. Come up with a hard one. Come on, give me something to work on here. And they go, and they just like the sense of humor and all that anyway. But what I'm saying is that, I'll do the exact same thing I just taught you guys. Is there any, because sometimes they're wear your butt out with, they'll just keep going, but you got to isolate it and say, is there anything more than those 14 things at all? Whatever it is. Sometimes they'll close themselves, by the way, when they're asking those questions. So anybody else?
Real quick, Gary, it's Victor.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, now, so can you send that to all of us? Because it sounds like it's going to be an ongoing objection. I pulled it up myself, but kind of found the answer myself as well. If you dig deep enough, you can find it. But if you can send that to all of us, because it sounds like we're all going to need it.
Yeah, I'll put it in the Telegram room. If you dig deep enough, you're going to find something bad about everybody on this call.
What was that?
I'm serious.
Who's the guy that said something about Sister? What was it? The Catholic, the famous Catholic.
Oh, Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa, right? That Mother Teresa was a Satanist.
Yeah, I've heard it all. Man.
Oh my God!
It's just these skills you develop, folks. I'll tell you one last thing as we close here. When I first got started in the insurance business, I talked to a gentleman I really became good friends with. His name's Bill Whittle, and he said, Gary, don't let another day go by that you don't go by the Tommy Hopkins sales training. He taught real estate, how to close people on real estate. And I bought the cassettes. Remember the old cassettes you could play in your car? I got those and I listened to them for 3 years in my car, folks, going on appointments over and over and over. And after about 4 months of listening to that every single day, all the tapes, there's 27 of them. All of a sudden I'd be in a house and somebody'd say something and this would come out of me and I'd just roll out with the objection killer. And I didn't even know where it came from. I had internalized what he taught me. So if you'll use this stuff every day, you'll probably start going, God, I remember back in 2021 when Gary Wood went over that stuff. That really made a difference in my career. That's what I'm all about anymore. So I hope that helps. Anybody else as we kind of close? Thanks for jumping on. I hope it helped.
Yeah, it's great, Gary.
Okay. Yeah. Dane, brother, you on there? I see you. Maybe you put that spreadsheet up in the top of the Telegram room. I'll show some people how to really use that spreadsheet, but we do need a disclaimer on that thing. I haven't actually seen it, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't have the financial disclaimer about, we can't promise any results and things like that. You need to make sure that if you have a question about what you should use and what you can't, I'm probably a good one to roll it off of. Kind of like the quasi compliance officer, in a fun way. I just don't want anybody to get in trouble. You can't spend all this money if they boot you out, right?
Right.
Anybody else? If not, we'll call it a day. Thanks everybody for jumping on.
Thanks, Gary.
Hope you have a good one.
Thank you, Gary.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
See ya.
Take care.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, Gary.
You're welcome, buddy.
Thanks, Gary.